26 years ago, some of you in this room may remember this book. I see some of you laughing. This was one of the books, first of its kind in some respects, as it took a look at what is the habits of highly effective people. Since that period of time, a lot of books have been written about what causes or what is the foundation for success, but this was probably one of the keystone books in its time. A couple of things that I've kind of come through this as I look at this book and as we think about the habits as we break this down is what is a habit? Learned behavior. I can probably think of today, we all have habits, learned or unlearned, and a habit can be basically changed within 21 days. That's what people tell us. Good habits or bad habits. Those habits that we have are become learned in some respects and become almost automatic. We become a creature of habit. As we think about our trip here today, the roads we took, I got here early enough, but I can probably guess that there's a red pickup that's backed in the parking lot. When I go to church, I have a specific place I sit. And if somebody's there, how dare them? That is my seat. But we are creatures of habit. So as we talk about this learned behavior, it could have been the 7 learned behaviors of successful people. The other thing I want to talk about is a paradigm. We all have a paradigm or a filter or a lens that we all go through. It's basically how we see the world. And to test on that, I have a little bit of a research project. So I'm going to hold this up. Take a couple seconds to look at it. How many people in the room saw a young lady with maybe a necklace? How many people saw maybe an older lady with a big nose? So how can it be that we're looking at the same picture, but we have 2 different viewpoints? Paradigm shift. How do we see things? So for the next couple seconds, we're going to talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit number 1, be proactive. When I was looking back through this book, the word that came to mind more times than not was initiative. We have the responsibility to take action for the results that we want. So be proactive or initiative. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. I look at that as destination. Where are you going? Where am I going? Think of a house being built without blueprints. Think of the trial and error that you would have. So as you think through these pieces here, what is your roadmap? What is your destination? Number 3, first things first. I use that as priorities. Stephen Covey has this program where he has rocks, and you may have seen that put the big rocks in. So what are your big rocks? What are my big rocks? Family, friends, work, faith? Do we spend time on that? Is it busy work? Or are we focusing on the priorities that really make a difference? In his research, he realized that these 3 habits are all internal, things that we can affect ourselves. The other 3 are more outward focused, how we work with others. The first one was win-win. Couldn't think of one word, I had to think of 2, mutual benefit. See, the opposite of a win-win would be a win-lose, or lose-win. In that situation, in that equation, I gain something at the expense of somebody else. I feel great, that person may not. So how do we interact with others, whether it's through our work or through maybe a sales relationship, maybe it's a spouse? Can we look for the win-win or the mutual benefit between us? Number 5, seek first to understand and then to be understood. My wife would say empathy. Something I lack. I have 3 daughters at home, and I'm sitting there going, just get over it and let's move on. That's my nature. But you got to sit back and listen a little bit. So are we listening for empathy and understanding first? I typically jump to the other end of it and say, I already have the solution. Let's just move on. I don't need to hear the rest of the story. I can get better on that. Number 6 was synergize. Synergistic. The whole is better than the sum of the parts. If I have a string, I may be able to pull it apart. But if I take another string and another string, and pretty soon 3 or 4 or 5 strands, and it becomes pretty strong. Same thing with your group. I may have a unique skill set, and other people in your group may have a different skill set. If we bring them together in your group, now we've leveraged that opportunity or that relationship. Number 7 is renewal, or as he would call, sharpen the saw. All of this is wrapped around some type of a balance of how we do things. And that becomes spiritual, mental, physical, and social. We'll save that for another time. What is your paradigm as you think about through these processes? And if I go back to this again, and if I said that there's an old lady with a big nose, or if I say there's a young lady looking off to the side, do you see them both now? Do you see them both in that situation? I could have used a black dress, black and blue, or gold and white as well, right? Thank you.